listening to the Rainmaking Podcast, hosted by high-stakes headhunter, author, and professional speaker, Scott Love.
Hey, this is Scott Love. Thanks for joining me on the Rainmaking Podcast. I'm glad you're here, and thank you for making this show a success. I remember years ago, Saturday Night Live was one of my favorite television shows, and Steve Martin was my favorite comedian. And there is this skit that he had where he'd say, I'm going to show you how to make $1 million and not pay taxes. First, make $1 million. Well, when we hear claims like that, we tend not to believe them. We tend to discount them. It seems too good to be true. But what if it was possible to double the revenue of your professional services firm in 90 days? What do you think about that? Well, is it possible? We're going to find out today, and our guest is someone that has helped companies do just that. His name is Simon Severino. He helps businesses and business owners run their companies more effectively, which results in sales that soar. Our topic today is how to double revenue of your professional services firm in 90 days. He's been trusted by Google, by Roche, by Amgen. He's created the strategy sprints method that doubles revenue in 90 days. And by the way, get his book. I've read it. It's really fantastic, and there's some great substantive ideas. He helps companies double revenue by getting owners out of the weeds. This is going to give you a fresh perspective on how you run your organization. Even if you're running a practice within a larger organization, this idea is going to be helpful for you. Make sure you connect with Simon on the show notes. We've got all of his social media links, as well as a link to Amazon where you can get his book. And as always, this show is sponsored by Leopard Solutions Legal Intelligence suite of products, Firmscape, and Leopard BI. Push ahead of the pack with the power of Leopard. Thanks for listening. I hope you get some great ideas from my discussion with Simon today. Hey, this is Scott Love with the Rainmaking Podcast. I've got our special guest today, Simon Severino, and our topic is how to double the revenue of your professional services firm. And this is what he says in 90 days. So we'll see how we can do that. Simon, thanks for joining me on the show.
Hey, Scott. Hey, everybody. Excited to take on the challenge. We can double revenue of a professional service firm in 90 days. And let's see how much we can share about it and how much the listeners can actually implement already. So take notes, everybody.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good. And I've listened to some of your shows on some really popular podcasts, and you definitely know what you're talking about. So help me figure this out. How are we going to do this? Where are we going to start? If I am a managing partner of a professional services firm, I want to double my revenue. What do you think are the first areas that we need to focus on?
So I'm doing nothing else than coaching on this since 21 years. And now we have a global team doing this. The first thing that we do is to map out how the current business runs and to find the bottlenecks. So we map out, okay, how do you do awareness, interest, engagement, closing, onboarding, delivering, and retaining, right? 7 simple steps. Every professional service is made of this process.
Well, this is good. I mean, already you won me over in the first 30 seconds because you've given some concrete structure to this. So let me go over this again. It's awareness, interest, engagement.
Yep. Closing, okay. Onboarding, delivering, retaining.
That's great. Wow, that's it. All right, I guess we're done. Thanks for being here today.
It's very simple. You break it down into the smallest steps. These are the 7 things. And now you do it from the customer perspective. Okay, what do they need to take their decisions in each stage? So you do a quick customer journey. It takes us half an hour with our tools to do that. Right. Then you flip it on the other side, and now you know what your team needs to do. You know the core activities. The first part, that's the marketing team's focus of that week. The second part, that's the sales team. The last part is operations. And operations is not just responsible for delivering a great experience, but also for generating 3 more deals out of each client. That's what we call the referral engine. So that's one system that we have to build in. There are 5 systems that we have to build in. One of those is the referral engine. Right. And the referral engine means that at specific points of working with your clients, so your professional service, let's say you are cutting the costs of a utility company.
Right.
So at a specific point in time, and we will map that out we will map out 4 points in time, and you will ask 4 times for a referral. But in that very specific point, after they unlock one of those cost benefits. So we have to design the delivery process so that it creates a small part. Let's say your promise, like I'm promising double your revenue in 90 days. Let's say your promise is I will cut your Google Cloud costs by 15% in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to create a part of that. You want to create 7.5% probably in the first month, so that they see, oh, it's going, it's happening. And in that moment, you will have the highest energy in the project. And this is the first moment where you will ask, okay, now tell me 3 people who also need this.
Right.
They won't tell you the first time. You will ask the second time when, again, the energy spike is high. In 4 times, they will tell you around 10 people. And you will, on average, our clients close 3 out of those 10. So you can generate from one current client 3 new clients just via the referral engine. And that's just one system.
This is great. And let me ask you for clarification then. So you mentioned, and I liked how you have those 7 different, and what did you call those? The phases, the 7 different areas. What do you call those again?
Yeah, the 7 elements of how you create value. That's the value creation.
The awareness, interest, engagement, closing, onboarding, delivering, and retaining. And then you mentioned that you've got the marketing team, you've got the sales teams, and you've got the operations teams. Have you worked with firms where that's the same people doing all those roles?
Usually pre-sprint, they are quite chaotic, all of them.
Yeah.
Even the big ones. After a sprint, they have 3 departments. One is called marketing, one is called sales, one is called operations, and they have just one management level. Management job is to do only vision, hiring, firing, and performance systems. That's it. This is how simple the professional services will be after 90 days.
Yep.
And also, they will only focus on their core activities. How do we know which are the core activities? We measure them every 7 days. So
good.
The daily habit, weekly habit, and the monthly habit in the strategy sprints method. The daily habit is everybody writes down how they spent their time today, which were the key things that really moved the whole business forward versus just parts of the business.
Right.
They will identify some micromanagement parts, and they will pick one of them to be delegated, cut, or outsourced tomorrow.
Let me ask you this. Let me kind of go back a little bit. I wanted to learn more about the different systems. You talked about the referral engine. That's one system. And I like the fact that you gave very specific examples of that there are certain times and a number of times that we ask for referrals. And I like the fact that you say you want to do it when the odds are higher that you're actually going to get a referral. And you're absolutely right. That's the lifeblood of selling, of getting new business. And so what are some of the other systems there besides the referral engine? As we're looking at our organization, what are the other systems that we should kind of think about as we're building this team?
We want to install at least one very well-working inbound system and one very well-working outbound system. So the referral engine is so simple. As you say, yes, that's the core of everything. Yeah, but how many people did it today, right now? Listeners, how many on your team, how many operations people ask this question to your current clients? And that's why we can double revenue in 90 days. Because right now, 70% of everybody saying, no, we don't.
Yeah.
We wait for a key account, or maybe, and that's me, the owner, and maybe I forget, or maybe I don't want, maybe I don't feel like. That's the reality of B2B businesses right now. And also they're founder-led. If they are small or medium-sized, there is still the founder in the weeds, because they didn't simplify in those 3 departments and seven elements. So they're still doing too many things at once. So they don't even have time to go through the pipeline and say, okay, which one is rotten? Which one do we need to ask at which point? Because they didn't create a system.
Right.
But yeah, outbound systems and inbound system, you want to have a mix.
This is great. Are there any parts of the structure that you give to your clients where one is more important than the other? Or do you think they're equally all important, that they have to work together as a machine?
The important thing is resilience. So you will have a recession for a year, you will have a stagnation. In another year, you will have a bull market. In another year, you always want to have multiple repeatable sales systems working, and ideally on autopilot. You want to have some completely passive, some semi-passive, some manual.
Yeah.
So that whatever happens, like the next 12 months, most listeners will be in a recession. So one or two of those systems will break. We don't know which one. Maybe your ads are going to perform very well. Maybe they're going to break. Maybe your referral system is going to break. Maybe that's going to work well. We don't know. We cannot know. So we plan for not knowing. We plan for having multiple things. So at least one or two of them will always work, whatever happens.
Yeah, that's great. So this is a lot for a manager to keep up with.
Yes. And, when you are a manager, that's absolutely overwhelming. You don't see the forest for the trees. So that's why we have all those systems. And that's our job, actually. So we coach them. They see their goals. They simplify their business. We have a weekly coaching with them. They get a very clear structure on how the sales meeting will be, the marketing meeting will be, on how the full team meeting will be, how they report to each other. And they have one dashboard. The weekly dashboard is one sales number, one marketing number, one ops number of that week.
That's great.
That usually changes completely the way, because now they have reality. Now they know what's going on. If you ask them right now, pre-sprint, if you ask listeners, hey, what's your sales next month? Many of professional services don't know. Then you ask them, how many follow-ups did your people do this week? How many prospecting activities in which category happened this week? Some of them don't even know. Many of them don't know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They have a CRM system that everybody uses in the same way. They don't have email templates in the CRM system. So those are very simple things that we work on, but they have a tactical relevance. And when you have that in place, now you have a machine that really turns conversations into projects.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me, in your story, when did you come to develop these concepts? And how did you come to develop them?
Yeah, so my first years, I was a very fancy strategy advisor. I would sit in the board meetings of the coolest brands, and I would just structure their amazing ideas and then break them down into the countries and execute them for a year, which was a very fancy way of working. Because when I then became a manager myself, it was much, much harder than I thought.
Right.
Much harder, because it's easy when you are the strategy advisor to see all of this, right? But when you are in the thick of it, and in one day you are talking to a client, then you are repairing a broken machine, then you are repairing the website, then you are negotiating a legal contract in a country that you don't understand well, but you are just expanding there. And then you have another client, and then your kids are waiting. That's such a highly stressful situation that you actually need a process. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. And that's why I created the process for myself first. And I run a professional services firm that I have scaled over many time zones. And because I see many that are not scaled, that have a lot of manual moments, they have stress, they have divorces, all of that, right? The whole richness of life is there, but they're not fast like a cheetah and happy like a dog.
Right.
I want them fast like a cheetah and happy like a dog. And when are you happy like a dog? When stuff works.
Right.
Also, less dependent on yourself. So we ask our clients to schedule a 1 month vacation for next year, 1 month beach dream vacation. And they go, Simon, are you crazy? If I get a kidney transplanted, I take 3 days.
Right.
And I say, yeah, that's why I want you to have a 1 month in your calendar. And I have to walk my talk. So I also do 1 month beach house every year. It's scheduled in advance. It's in the summer. It's on the Mediterranean. And I show them that while I'm away, stuff still works because of those systems. Otherwise, they couldn't trust us that our systems work. So our integrity comes from, we do it because we need it. And whenever it works, it becomes an official module in the Sprint University. It becomes a tool that we share now with our clients.
This is great, Simon. So tell me a story of a company that you worked with where they didn't have this. You worked with them and they were able to double their revenue in a short period of time. Give me an example of that, please.
Sure. famous marketing company. I will not say the name, but they are they are saying it in some socials, so you can Google them. They are a famous brand, and they are used to get clients that give them, 2 million for a TV ad. And then they run the ad. They do creative work. That's their world. They have rocked that world for 10 years. And now there are competitors that come in and say, do you know exactly where $1 goes? I can show you exactly the dollar that you put in, it becomes $1.2, and I can show you all the clicks. And so they have to reinvent, even if they are very, very established, but they have to cannibalize parts of their own business and innovate that. Otherwise, they will lose those big accounts.
Right.
So they came with the sprint question, how can we create one innovative solution fast right now? It's like starting a company in the company, a sub-brand, a new growth marketing sub-brand. And how can we make that have 300,000 sales as soon as possible? Their goal was in a year. And I said, why not in 90 days? And that's what we did. So month 1, competitive analysis, building the core offer, mapping out the value creation. Month 2, filling the CRM. They didn't have a CRM. We started a CRM process, and I told them exactly how to prospect and how to close. And then month 3 was just doing the same thing for 1 more month. They have closed. It was not 90 days, but 91 days, which made me a little bit sad. But on the 91st day, they had broken through the 300K mark.
Wow, that's great. That's a great story. So as we're looking at this, if we could take what you've talked about and put it into 3 action steps, just for somebody to really get started implementing these ideas, what would those 3 steps be?
Daily habit, weekly habit, and monthly habit. The daily habit, write down how did you spend your time today? Which one task will you delegate tomorrow to a software or to a person? It's one task from today that you pick. Tomorrow you will delegate it to a software or to a person. Really important in professional services.
Yep.
And people can grab the free tool to do this on our website, strategysprints.com. Second practical thing.
Okay.
Pick the 3 numbers that tell you most about the question. Are we moving in the right direction at the right pace?
Right.
That's your weekly dashboard. You need to set up your weekly dashboard, 1 marketing number, 1 sales number, 1 ops number that you will track every 7 days for the next months.
And I like that question. Are we moving in the right direction at the right pace?
Yes, this
is
becomes your weekly habit. And you reflect on this dashboard. You let one of your assistants in the team fill that dashboard, let's say on a Thursday, and on the Friday, the whole team reviews it for half an hour, and you learn from that. What's going on? What do we learn from it? And then also this tool you can download on strategysprints.com for free. And then we have a monthly habit. Monthly habit is a quick competitive analysis. What are our competitors doing? What else can our clients do if they don't book anybody? So what else can they do on their own if they don't book my professional services? So maybe they do nothing. Maybe they have Mike, the intern, do it. Maybe they have a full-time in-house person do that. And tinker a little bit, what does it mean and how do we create strategic advantage? We have a tool that shows you that. You go through 5 questions and it shows you, okay, cut costs in these 2 features and reinvest those in these 2 features, creates 2 buckets. And then you know that you can reinvest, you can cut 10%, 50% costs on the left side, and you can reinvest them in the next month in the right side on the features where you are already winning. Because if you're winning in those things right now, and you invest 10, 15% more attention and dollars on it, you are crushing it. Yeah. And now you have a strategic advantage.
Well, these are great ideas, Simon. Tell us about the resources that you have. And we're going to put the links that you mentioned on the show notes. What are the things that you want people listening to know that you can do in order to help them?
Yeah, so our sprint coaches, they double your revenue in one-on-one coaching, and they come with supporting tools. It's not just talking. It's very tactical implementation and reflecting in Zoom calls. But it's very tactical and very along the core processes of a professional service, core marketing, core sales, core operations processes. And so that's how we can help. Where can people get the tools that we just mentioned? strategysprints.com. Yep. They can grab all of them. And if they want more details, they can grab the book, Strategy Sprints, on Amazon. It's full of case studies, clients describing how they had to find the right price or simplify their business and how they did it. And if they want to talk to us and see if we can help them scale faster, that's strategysprints.com.
This is great, Simon. We're going to put those links and also the Amazon link for your book on the show notes. Thanks for being a guest on my show today. Then I look forward to learning more about your offerings. This is really exciting. I think you've shared some really innovative ideas. So thanks for being with us today, Simon.
Thank you, Scott, for holding this space for your community, and keep rolling, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Rainmaking Podcast. For more information about our recruiting services for international law firms, visit our website at attorneysearchgroup.com. To inquire about having Scott speak at your next convention, conference, sales meeting, or executive retreat, visit therainmakingpodcast.com.